Good morning, students. So today we will study about this force concept, okay, and we will try to finish up also with your load balancing concept, right? So previously we had studied your for this concept, stress concept, right? So this is a stress concept wherein we use this formula, right? F is equals to P by A. So this is your direct stress, this is your bending stress, and this is the stress caused because of our eccentric pre-stressing, right? So all of these were stresses, and we found out the resultant stress. So this is a stress concept. So now we will look into your force concept, wherein we will deal with forces instead of your stress. So because we deal with forces, that is your compressive force and then your tensile force, right? Which you can see over here in this diagram. So this is your compressive force C, and this is your tensile force T. So because we are dealing with these forces, so this concept is called as a force concept. So in this, the approach based on force concept is analogous to the study of reinforced concrete. So what do you mean by this? This is similar to your reinforced concrete study what we do, right? Wherein we have a tensile force which is in your reinforcement steel, and then you have compressive force which is due to your load. Right? Due to the same concept is applied over here as in your RCC. So the tension in pre-stressing steel T, okay, the tension in pre-stressing steel T that is represented over here. So that tension, right, T which is developed, it is nothing but your pre-stressing force P, right? It is nothing but your pre-stressing force P that you apply. So that generates the tension force T in your steel. Okay. So at transfer, right? At transfer, so this is at a transfer wherein you have no external loads, okay, no external loads, and T and C are acting in the same line, okay, T and C, that is a tensile force, and the developed compressive force is acting in the same line. And this central line is your CGC, okay, CGC, and this is your top fiber of a beam, and this is your bottom fiber of a beam. And the resultant compressive force in concrete C, right, they are in same line which balance the external loads. So in this approach is used to determine the dimensions of a section. Okay, this approach we can use to determine the dimensions of a section and to check the service load capacity. So how much load carrying capacity, that is the live load carrying capacity, we can analyze using this method. So the stresses in concrete calculated by this approach are same as those calculated based on stress concept. So this is very interesting. Okay, so as I've shown you here, so this is due to force concept, and this is due to stress concept. And if you calculate the value of resultant force, right, F, from using this concept, and if you calculate the resultant stress F using this formula, so you'll get the same answer. Okay, you'll get the same answer. So that is very unique regarding these two. So you'll get the same thing, and you can just verify whether you have done correctly. So the stress is calculated is same in both these concepts. So the stresses at the extreme edges are compared with the allowable stresses. Extreme edges in the sense your top fiber and your bottom fiber, extreme top fiber and your extreme bottom fiber edge. So they are calculated and then carry that, and that can be compared to your allowable stresses. Okay. So the following figure shows the internal forces in the section. Okay, so you have T, and then you have a resultant compressive force C which is generated, right? So this is a transfer, and then this is a when after your loading, okay, at your service. So you can observe there is this tensile force T, right, which is nothing but your pre-stressing force P. Okay, so this is generated because of your eccentric pre-stressing cable. So this is a pre-stressing cable, and then you have a tensile force which is generated over here. So from CGC, I've told you this central line is CGC. The vertical distance between your CGC and your CGS, that is your tensile steel, is nothing but our eccentricity E, which is shown over here, right? Eccentricity E is shown over here. Then, because of your loading, right? Because of your loading which is coming, that is a live load, and also because of your dead load, the compressive force, resultant compressive force C, okay, it changes its direction. Okay, it starts moving upside. It starts moving upwards. So you can see it has moved up till this position. Okay, at this location it is currently located because of your loading. Okay, so this is at your this is at a service stage. So the distance of this resultant compressive force C from the CGC, okay, it is denoted as EC, okay, EC. So this is your regular E, that is your eccentricity, and this is eccentricity of your compressive force, okay, from CGC. So the total distance between these two, okay, the total distance between your compressive force and your tensile force, it is your lever arm, okay, lever arm, which is represented as Z. Okay, so the total distance, that is EC plus E, will give you Z. So we are using Z as your sectional modulus also, right? So it is confusing. So what we'll do, we will use A instead of Z. What we will use small a instead of using this Z. Okay, so I hope this figure is clear. So this is your force concept, right? And now we will look into how do we arrive at your formula, right? How we arrive at our formula. So in the equilibrium equation, as follows, right? So here your C is equal to T. Okay, so this is equal. So whatever is the tensile force that we apply, so the resultant force that is generated in concrete, okay, right? So that is equal to T. Okay, C and T are equal to each other. So the magnitude of these are same, but the direction may vary. Okay, so C is equal to T is the main first thing that you need to remember. And second thing, moment generated, okay, moment generated because of this C, okay, because of this C is equal to what? So the moment generated over here, okay, moment generated over here because of this C. So it will be what? It will be the force, right? Force into the perpendicular distance between them. Perpendicular distance is what? It is Z or it is A. Any of these you can use, so we will use A. So moment will be what? It will be like this, right? It will be, moment will be generated because of this C, right? So the perpendicular distance is A and the magnitude is C. So C into A. So that is the moment generated then. So what is A equal to? A is equal to, so this is A, right? It is equal to EC plus E. Okay, EC plus E is equal to A. So that is what we have substituted here. And instead of EC, right? Instead of EC, what we will write? We will write E dash. Okay, E dash we will use. Okay, E dash instead of EC. So remember this thing, okay, we will be using this. M is equals to C into E dash plus E. Okay, so the resultant stress in concrete, okay, this formula, so it is C by A, okay, C by A. So your C, substituting C, what we substitute is nothing but we substitute P over here. The value of P, that is the pre-stressing force, which is given in your example, that value we substitute over here. So A is the cross section of your beam, okay, A is the cross section of your beam, and this is the moment that is generated because of your uh, C value, right? C into E dash, right? At the CGC, we are calculating all the stresses at your CGC. So this C is located at a distance of EC, right? EC. So the moment generated at CGC will be this force into the perpendicular distance. So that is what you have written here. And then bending stress, we know moment into Y by I. Right, this is a bending stress. So moment we have substituted here, right? C into E dash, and then this is Y, and then this is I, right? So if you substitute YT, you will get the stress at top fiber, and if you substitute YB over here, YB, you will get the stress at your bottom fiber. Okay. So what we can do now is we'll try to arrive at this equation, okay, at your stress equation, stress concept equation from this equation. So what we have currently generated from this equation, we will try to arrive at this stress equation, stress concept equation. So substituting C is equals to P, right? C is equal to P. We know C is equal to T, right? C is equal to T, and what is T? T is nothing but our pre-stressing force P. So substituting C is equals to P and C dash, CE dash is equals to M minus EP. So how have we arrived at this thing? So here you can substitute what? Substitute, so this is M is equals to P into E dash plus E. Okay, so this is I have written over here same thing, and instead of C we have substituted P. So multiply these, okay, multiply this and multiply this. So it will be PE dash plus PE, right? PE dash plus P. So M minus E is equals to, right? M minus PE is equals to what? PE dash. Right, I've taken this term over here. So instead of PE dash, what I can substitute? I can substitute M minus PE, right? So that is what is written here, M minus PE. So instead of CE dash, right? Instead of this term CE dash, I have substituted M minus PE over here. Okay, M minus PE I have substituted, and then just multiply M into Y, and then minus P into Y multiply, and then you can separate those terms, and you will arrive at your stress equation. Okay, P by A here, and then my by I, and PEY by I. So you have arrived at a stress concept. Okay, so because of this, as they have told in the first paragraph, the forces or the stresses that you calculate using the force concept as well as a stress concept are same. Okay, calculated the stress in concrete calculated by this approach are same as those calculated based on stress concept. Okay, so I hope that statement is clear and this derivation is clear. So this is not important. Only remember the formula. Okay, only remember the formula. Just I've explained how you have arrived at this thing, and they do not ask you this derivation and all in your exam. Okay, they might ask you in theory explain what is stress concept, what is force concept, and then at that time you can just write down these things. Okay. So this is the thing that you need to remember. This is the formula that you need to remember while solving your numericals using your force concept. That is C by Y plus or minus CE dash Y by I. Okay. So C is nothing but a pre-stressing force P, right? And E dash I've told you E dash is the distance of your C from your CGC. Okay. This is E dash. This is E. So substituting all these things, you can get a stress at top fiber and the stress at bottom fiber. So I hope this is clear. So if you have any doubts, just let me know, or else we can move on to the numericals that are based on your force concept. Okay, so we will move on to your numericals based on your force concept. Okay, numericals we will solve. A few we will solve because it is similar to your this thing, right? It is similar to your stress concept. So whatever stress concept problems you have solved in your class, same problems you can try solving using force concept, and if you get the same answer, it is verified. Okay. So let me just share the screen. Okay, so I hope you are able to see the screen which I have shared. So this is just an overview of your force concept, right? So this is your pre-stressing cable, right? Pre-stressing cable, that tensile force T which we have applied, the resultant compressive force C which is generated, and this is the lever arm A, and this is E dash, right? Distance. So this is CGC of your concrete, CG of your concrete. So the distance between these force C and your CGC is your E dash, and then this is your regular eccentricity E. Okay, so C is equals to P, remember this, and then we know this, right? M is equals to C into A, right? We know this, M is equals to C into A, we have calculated. So what we can do is, if you want to calculate this lever arm A, right? If you want to calculate this lever arm A, so a lever arm A will be what? M by C. M, C will go on this side of the equation, and or else you can follow M by P. Both will give you the same answer because C is equals to P. So we can calculate lever arm using this thing, and then you can calculate E dash. Okay, you can calculate E dash. How you can calculate? We know this lever arm eccentricity will be given. You have calculated lever arm. So from A, if you minus E, you will get E dash. From A, that is from lever arm. If you reduce or you deduct your eccentricity, you will get this E dash. Okay, so remember this. So we will be requiring this all these things while solving your numericals. Okay. So I hope this concept is clear. So can we move on to the numericals now? Can we move on? If this concept is clear, just let me know.
So once more.
Which thing? This thing or your previous PDF which I had shared?
So this thing.
Okay. Okay, so this is your beam. Okay, this is your beam, and this is a longitudinal section of your beam. So this line which I have drawn, this is the CG of your concrete. Okay, CG of your concrete. And this red line you can see, this is your pre-stressing cable. Okay, pre-stressing cable, and the tensile force which you apply to this cable is your T. Okay, and that is nothing but your pre-stressing force P. Right. So this direction we have shown in this way. Right. It is because we are applying tensile forces, and then because of this and because of your loading, right, W, which is shown over here. So because of this thing, there will be this compressive force which is generated in your concrete. Okay, resultant compressive force. So the distance between C and the distance between T. Okay, the distance between C to T is your lever arm, okay, which is represented as small a. Okay, so this is your lever arm. So we know the distance between CGC to your pre-stressing steel. This is nothing but our eccentricity E. Okay, eccentricity E, distance between your vertical distance between CGC to your pre-stressing cable. Okay. So next thing is the distance from your CGC to your resultant compressive force C. The resultant compressive force C is here. So the distance of that from your CGC is your E dash. Okay. E dash. So that I have represented over here. So next thing is we know YT and YB, that is clear. So I've told you pre-stressing force, this T is equals to P, and the generated force is C. Okay, generated force C is also equal to P. So remember this. So this bending moment which is generated is equals to C into A. Okay, so this is where the moment is generated. Okay, moment is generated over here, and because of this C, right, this is your force C, and the moment how we calculate, so force into the perpendicular distance, right, perpendicular distance. So force we know it is C, and the perpendicular distance is the lever arm, right, it is A. So in the numericals, right, in the numericals, you will be given by this, you will be given this pre-stressing force P, and you will be given this eccentricity E. And this lever arm will not be given, and this E dash will not be given to you. Okay, so we need to calculate this lever arm, and then we need to calculate this E dash, okay, from these two values. That is your pre-stressing force P and your eccentricity E. Okay, only these two will be given. So we know this formula, M is equals to C into A. So A we can calculate because M is known, right? Moment is known, and then your C is also known. C is equal to P. Okay, moment we can calculate, right? Moment you can calculate, that is WL squared by 8, right? Depending upon the loading, we can calculate, and the location, right, at the center or at the quarter span. So depending on that, we can calculate M. So M is known, C is also known, right? You can calculate A. That is a lever arm. So we know eccentricity E. So if you deduct eccentricity E from your lever arm, right? If you deduct eccentricity from your lever arm, you will get E dash. Okay, so this will be required for substituting in a formula. Okay, to calculate your stresses at your top fiber and for your bottom fiber. Okay, so you will be needing E dash. Okay, you will be needing E dash. You will be needing C, and you will be needing M. Okay, and your cross section A, and your value I, moment of inertia I. You will be needing all these things. So we have calculated all of those, and you can substitute that in your equation. FT and FB you can calculate. That is stresses at a top fiber and stresses at a bottom fiber. So based on the numerical, where they ask, like if they ask at a center span or at quarter span or at any other span, similarly how we have calculated for your stress concept, we will calculate stresses, okay, at that particular section. So I hope this is clear. Can we move on to the next thing? Just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is your first numerical, wherein we have a simply supported PSC beam. Okay, simply supported beam. Cross section is given. Okay, 300 by 500, located with a UDL of 6.4 kilonewton per meter. UDL, this is for live load. Okay, span is given 6.25 meters, and we have been asked to draw the stress distribution at mid span. Okay, at mid span, and also at the supports. At the supports, and we have been given with the pre-stressing force, that is P is equals to 375 kilonewton. Okay, 375 kilonewton, and with the tendon is eccentric. Okay, 20 centimeter above the bottom of the beam. So eccentricity is not given directly. So the distance of your tendon from the bottom of a beam is given. So we need to calculate eccentricity E. So solve by principle of internal resisting concept. So internal resisting concept is nothing but your force concept. Okay, remember it is your force concept. So do not solve this numerical by your stress concept. Okay, solve this by internal resisting concept, which is your force concept, wherein the loads are resisted by your internal forces. Right. So all these things are given, right? B, D, then span, then this is a pre-stressing force, and then this is your live load. All these things are given in your question. So only these things are given, and also your eccentricity from the bottom of your beam is given. So we can calculate cross-section area A, and then we can calculate eccentricity E. That is, you can reduce, right? From your bottom of a beam, they have given 20 centimeter. So if this is your beam, okay, if this is your beam, so this is the center of your beam. We have divided it into half. So the total depth is 500. So this part will be 500. Okay, this part will be 500. And then your cable is located at a distance of what? It is located at a distance of 200 mm from the bottom of your beam. Okay. So what is the distance from the CGC? It will be 500 minus this 200. 500 minus, sorry, 250 minus 200. So this is 250, which is half of 500, right? And then this is bottom from the bottom of a beam, the distance of a tendon is 200 mm. Okay. So eccentricity is 50 mm. From CGC, it is 50 mm. Then this is the moment of inertia, which we can calculate BD cube by 12. And then because this is a rectangular section, right? So YT will be equal to YB. So we will represent it as a Y. Okay, so in a simple term Y. So it is equal to 250 mm. So ZT also will be equal to ZB because of the rectangular section. So I by Y you can do to get your sectional modulus. So we have calculated sectional modulus, that is in mm cube. Okay. So the next thing that you need to do, similarly what we have done in stress concept, we calculate a self weight of your beam. Live load is given, you calculate your total load. Okay, dead load plus live load you can do, and you can calculate the total load. So 3.6 plus 6.4, so total load is 10 kilonewton per meter. 10 kilonewton per meter is the total load. So we will represent total load as capital W. Okay, so dead load is a capital WD, and then this is WL. Total load is W. So we have calculated load. Now we can go ahead with calculation of your moment. Okay, after you calculate load, you calculate your moments. So because this is a simply supported beam, right? And then we have a UDL, right? This is a UDL. Live load is also UDL. Self weight is obviously acting like a UDL. So you can calculate at the midspan they're using this formula, that is WL squared by 8, because we have UDLs working on our beam. So W we have calculated 10, span is 6.25 divided by 8. So you get your moment. Okay, you get a moment that is represented as capital M. Moment represented as capital M. So we know pre-stressing force we have been given, so that is nothing but equal to C, right? That is 375 kilonewton. And lever arm we can calculate like M by C. Okay, so the M divided by C. So M value we have calculated, right? 48.82. So that is what is given over here, and then divided by C, which is nothing but a pre-stressing force. So you get a lever arm that is 130.18 mm. So how can you calculate the eccentricity of your C? So that is lever arm minus our eccentricity. So lever arm we have calculated 138. Eccentricity is 50 mm, which we had calculated. So you get your E dash. This is your E dash value. So now we have all the things required for calculation of your resultant stresses. All the things we have with ourselves to calculate the resultant stresses. So this is the formula which we will use to calculate the resultant stress, right? This is the formula. So this is for top fiber, right? This is for your top fiber. So it is written as FT. So C value we know it is 375 kilonewton. A value is a cross section which we have calculated. C value similarly. E dash value we have calculated here 80.18, right? And Z value we have calculated. So all of this you substitute, and you can calculate your stress at your top fiber. Similarly for bottom fiber, so it is plus at top fiber. Remember, it is plus at top fiber. It is negative at your bottom fiber, right? Negative at your bottom fiber. Substitute and calculate stress at bottom fiber, right? So you can draw your stress diagram. Okay, stress diagram. So this is the resultant stress diagram of your all the stresses that are generated at your midspan. Okay, so for plus 4.95 at top fiber and plus 0.1 at your bottom fiber. So that is what we have represented here. So plus 4.9 at top fiber and plus 0.9 at your bottom fiber. Join this by a straight line, and this is nothing but the depth of your beam. Okay, so this is the overall depth of your beam, that is capital B. So positive because both these terms are positive. So resultant stress diagram will be overall positive. So I hope this is clear. So very easy, right? Similarly, what you have done in your stress concept, the same thing you need to follow and you need to calculate. So I hope this numerical is clear. Can we move on to the next numerical? Very easy. Yes, if you have any doubts, you can let me know. If you have not understood any of the things, I will explain once more. Is it clear? Should we move on to the next numerical?
Yes,
Please
sir.
let me know. Okay. So this is regarding your first numerical, right? Very easy. Rectangular cross section, right? Eccentric tendon. You have calculated. Moving on to support. Okay, moving on to support. Sorry, we have solved only half, right? We have only solved half of the things. So we have only done midspan. So we need to calculate at support. So can you just tell me what is the process of calculating at the supports? At the supports, what is the moment at support? What is the moment of moment generated at supports in a simply supported beam? So this is a simply supported beam. So what is the moment generated at supports? So we have calculated at midspan. What about supports?
It is
What
zero,
is the
sir.
moment that? Yes,
Zero.
zero, right? Because it is a simply supported beam, there will be no moments which will be generated, right? No moments will be generated at a supports. So this m will be zero, right? M will be zero. So this a will be zero because m is zero, right? A is zero, and because a is zero over here, a is zero. So your eccentricity will be minus 0 minus 50, right? 0 minus 50. So it is equal to minus 50. Eccentricity is equal to minus 50. That is your E dash value, right? So bending moment at supports is 0. So A value is 0. Hence your E dash value is equal to minus 50 mm, right? So wherever you are substituting E dash, you have to substitute as minus 50. Okay. So that is what is you have to do over here. So rest all things are same. C by A plus at top fiber minus at bottom fiber. C E dash by Z. C value is same. No change in C. Only E dash value is changing. Okay. Rest all things are same. So you can observe. So it is plus 1 Newton per mm square at top fiber, and it is plus 4 Newton per mm square at bottom fiber. So this is your stress diagram at your supports. Okay, resultant stress distribution diagram at your supports. So this is plus at top fiber, plus at bottom fiber. So the overall stress diagram is also positive, right? Very easy. So whenever they ask you to calculate at supports, so bending moment is zero. Remember, because it is a simply supported beam. So I hope this is clear. So very easy. So moving on to your next thing. So can anyone just read out the problem statement for me? Can anyone please read out the problem statement for me?
A rectangular concrete beam of 100 mm by 250 mm of 8 meters is pre-stressed by straight cable carrying an effective pre-stressing force of 250 kilonewtons. The cable is located at an eccentricity of 40 mm. It supports an imposed load of 1.2 kilonewtons per meter. Determine the resultant stress at midspan by using stress concept and strength concept.
Okay, so thank you for then this is also a rectangular beam, right? Rectangular beam. So it is of 8 meter span, right? And it carries an effective pre-stressing force, right? P has been given. So cable is located at eccentricity. So E is given directly, right? E is given directly. So no need of calculation. Then imposed load, that is live load, is given. Imposed load, live load, 1.2 kilonewton per meter. So we need to determine the stress at midspan. Okay, midspan using stress concept as well as your strength concept. So stress concept and the strength concept is nothing but your force concept. Okay, force concept is also known as strength concept. Okay, so we need to get same answers from both the concepts, right? Because both are similar to each other, and if you do not get, you have done wrong somewhere in your calculation. Okay, so all these things are given, right? BD, length of your beam, then pre-stressing force, eccentricity, and your UDL, live load is given. So A we can calculate bending, then your moment of inertia we can calculate. This is your Y, right? And then this is your sectional modulus Z. So
Yes,
rectangular
sir.
section. So Y is very easy. You can calculate all of these things. Then next thing, always you need to calculate self-weight of your beam, right? Cross-sectional area into density of your concrete. So you get a self-weight. Then we need to calculate bending moment at midspan. Okay, bending moment at midspan, right? So bending moment due to live load, due to dead load, it is WD L square by 8. So this is your WD which we have calculated. And then bending moment due to live load, and the live load is given as 1.2, right? 1.2 L squared by 8. So both of these are UDLs. So it will moment at the center span will be WL squared by 8. So you get your bending moments, right? Bending moments you have got. So you can calculate the stress at midspan using your stress concept. So first you will calculate the stresses at midspan from your stress concept. So at top fiber, so you know this is the formula which you will be using P by A plus MD by Z plus ML by Z minus P into E by Z. So all of these things are known, right? P is given, A we have calculated, MD we have calculated, ML we have calculated, P we know eccentricity is directly given, right? Z we have calculated. So they directly substitute all of these and you calculate the stress at your top fiber, resultant stress at top fiber, 14.24 Newton per mm squared. Similarly, you can calculate for bottom fiber. Only thing is the sign will be changing over here. Only these signs will change. Rest all things are same. You can substitute and calculate. So the stress at bottom fiber is plus 5.76 Newton per mm squared. So these two values by stress concept and by strength concept, right? Force concept also you need to get the same values. You need to get same values. So let us now solve it using strength concept. Now we will solve it using force concept. So bending moment we have calculated in the stress concept, right? Same thing will be applied here. So we will add both of those and get the total bending moment. Okay, we get the total bending moment. Substitute that in this formula to get your lever arm. To get your lever arm, C is nothing but it is equal to P. C is equal to P. So you get your lever arm distance. So from lever arm distance, you minus your eccentricity to get E dash. So this is your lever arm, 57.6. And from 57.6, if you reduce your eccentricity 40 mm, you get a E dash. Okay, that is 17.6. So this is the location of your force C from your CGC, right? So this is your E dash. Okay. So we have all the things that are required for substituting a formula. So you can stress developed at midspan. Okay, remember we are calculating at midspan. So at top fiber, so this is the formula. So plus at top fiber, so C divided by A plus C into E dash by Z. So we get plus 14.23, right? Similarly, which we have got in our stress concept, right? Only this value is changing because depending upon how many decimal values you substitute, right? This digit will vary. Okay, so similar, we are getting 14.24 here. You can observe we are getting 14.23, right? So now at bottom fiber, rest of the things are same. Only the sign is changing over here. So you can observe here it is 5.76 positive, and what is the value that we have got using your stress concept? Same, okay, for plus 5.76. So you have verified using both the concepts, the stresses are similar. So this is regarding your second numerical. You can draw your stress distribution diagram, right? It is plus 14 at the top fiber. This is the depth of your beam, and it is plus 5.76 at your bottom fiber. Just join these two, and you will get your stress diagram. So this is resultant stress distribution diagram, okay, at the top fiber and as well as bottom fiber. at mid-span. Okay, at mid-span. Okay, so this is regarding your second numerical. I hope this is clear. So if anything is not clear, just let me know. I'll explain.
Clear, sir.
Clear. Others? Others, very easy problem. Others?
Clear, sir.
Clear. Okay. So this is regarding your force concept. Okay, whatever you have solved using your stress concept, no, you can solve those numericals using force concept, right? And you can practice. So only two numericals I think are sufficient for this, and you can practice stress concept numericals. Similarly, you can solve them using these concept, and you can practice. So this is regarding force concept, and I think you need a break. If you need a break, you can continue after a break. Yeah, we will continue with your next concept, that is your load balancing concept.
Sir, you can take, sir.
You need a break or I can continue?
Continue, sir.
Okay. Others? Just let me know whether I can continue with the next concept, that is your load balancing concept, or you need a break.
Continue,
So
sir.
continue, sir.
Okay, let me just share the screen. Let me just share. Okay, so I hope the screen is visible. So this is based on your load balancing concept. Okay, this is the third concept which we are learning to calculate the stresses, right? So this is your load balancing concept. So as the name suggests, right? So we balance this concept deals with balancing the load, right? External loads which are coming on your beam. So this concept is based on balancing those loads. Okay. So what is the cable profile if you have a UDL? If you have a UDL, what is the cable profile? Can anyone guess? What is the cable profile that we provide? So it is related to your bending moment. Okay, you can guess. That is a hint. Wherein the cable profile is depending upon your bending moment diagram. So how is it? Yes, someone was answering.
Parabolic, sir.
Parabolic, right? Correct answer. So if you have a UDL which is acting on your beam, so your tendon profile is like this. It is parabolic. Okay. So bending moment is how? Bending moment is like this. Okay, this is our bending moment. So you can see this is a parabola, and our cable profile is also a parabola. Next question. So what if you have a load only a point load which is acting, or a concentrated load which is acting at your beam center? Okay, so this is your beam, and you only have a point load or a concentrated load acting at the center of your span. So how is the this thing now? Tendon?
Triangular, sir.
Triangular, right? Correct answer. So if this is your beam, okay, if this is your beam and this is your CGC, so your tendon will be in this format, right? In this format, it will be in triangular format, because your bending moment is in this fashion, right? This is your bending moment diagram due to this load. So similarly, you can observe you have a tendon profile which is reverse of this figure, right? So what we are doing is we are balancing the load which is coming, right? We're balancing this load based upon a tendon profile. So now one more question: how is the cable profile if you have a simply supported beam, and if you have two loads like this equally distributed, like the distance between all of these are equal, right? So they are equally spaced. Trapezoidal, right? Correct answer. So you have a trapezoidal type of tendon profile. So you have a slope until here, then you have a straight, and then you have slope again. Okay, so this is your CGC. Okay, so this is called as a halved tendon. Okay, you can observe here, halved tendon is nothing but this tendon which we have drawn over here. Okay, so this is a half tendon, also a triangular profile, right? Like this, which you have, right? So this is also called as a halved tendon, HARPED. And what do you mean by curved is a parabolic tendon. Okay, parabolic is a curved tendon. Okay, so the loads which are coming will be balanced by this tendon. Okay, so one more thing. So you can observe this figure. You can observe this figure here. So you have a UDL, right? So this is W. The value of this UDL is W, and then this is the eccentricity E. Okay, eccentricity E, and then you have a curved cable. Okay, you have the curved cable. So what happens when we pull this cable over here? What happens when we pull this cable over here? We apply tension, or we apply pre-stressing force P. So that is applied. So this cable, what will happen? It will try to become straight, right? It will try to become straight, and it will become. It will try to get in this straight fashion, right? Correct. It will try to become straight like this if we try to pull, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So because concrete is already here, right? Concrete is already here, and that concrete will not allow it to become straight. So because it will not allow, so this force will be generated, right? This upward force will be generated, or what we call as this upward thrust will be generated because the tendon tries to become straight. So this upward thrust will be transferred to your concrete, right? It will be transferred to your concrete. It is nothing but your UDL which is generated, right? It is similar to your UDL, right? So it is just like a UDL which is acting on your concrete, right? So this UDL balances your acting UDL, right? This UDL is it is balanced by your upward UDL, which is this, okay, WUP, or your upward thrust. Okay, so this is also in kilonewton per meter. This is also in kilonewton per meter. So this UDL is your generated UDL, okay, generated, or it is your upward thrust which is generated because of your pre-stressing, right? So this is how you can balance your applied UDL. Okay, how you can balance. So if it is a point load, then there is a point load which is generated depending upon your cable profile. Okay, so we will look into now in detail. Okay. So the approach based on load balancing concept is used for a member with curved or half tendon. Okay, it is generally used. It is not generally used for a straight cable. Okay, it is usually used for a curved cable or a half tendon. Okay, and the analysis of indeterminate continuous beams. So when you have a continuous beam or a continuous indeterminate beam, you can use this concept. The moment or the upward thrust and the upward deflection, right? The moment which is generated M, and the upward thrust which is generated, right? WUP, I have shown you upward thrust and the upward deflection. Okay, upward deflection, that is this in this way your beam is bent, right? Your beam deflects, right? It will start to hog. So it deflects in the upward direction, right? It is deflecting in the upward direction. It is hogging and it is not sagging. So all these things are generated because of your pre-stress. Okay, because of your pre-stress. Due to pre-stress in the tendons are calculated. So we calculate your moment, right? We calculate your upward thrust which is generated, and we can calculate the upward deflection because of the pre-stress. This upward thrust, right? This upward thrust WUP balances the superimposed load. Okay, the superimposed load is your UDL, which is you are imposing on your beam, right? So this is your superimposed load, which is which is balanced by your WUP, that is your upward thrust. Okay. So it is possible to select a suitable cable profile in pre-stressed concrete members such that it should encounter or balance the external load acting on the beam. So I have shown you for various loading how you can apply your tendon profile, right? If you have a UDL, you have a curved cable. If you have a concentrated load, you can have a half cable, half type of tendon, right? Depending upon your loading, you have a suitable cable profile to balance that load. So that is why it is called a load balancing concept. Okay, load balancing concept. Okay, so coming to one more definition of this. So to balance externally applied loads, we provide cable profile in the shape of bending moment diagram. This concept is called as load balancing concept, right? So if your if your bending moment is in this curved profile, so your tendon will be reverse of that, right? So we use the shape of our bending moment diagram to determine the shape of your cable profile, right? So that is what is called as load balancing concept. So I hope this load balancing concept is clear. So now we will discuss for different type of loading. Okay, we will discuss for different type of loading. So this thing is for UDL. Okay, for parabolic tendon, it's for a UDL which is acting. So when your superimposed load is a UDL, so you have a curved cable, and I have shown you how the upward thrust acts. Okay, so I have shown you this diagram. So this is a bending moment diagram, and opposite of this you have a cable profile. So the moment at the center due to uniform upward thrust WUP is given by the equation, right? So this is a UDL, right? And whenever we have a UDL which is acting on a simply supported beam, what is the bending moment which is generated? Bending moment is WL squared by 8, right? WL squared by 8. So this is what? So this is your upward thrust WUP, and this is your span of your beam which is L. So the bending moment which is generated is WUP L squared by 8. So moment which is generated because of this upward thrust is WUP L squared by 8. So this is moment which is generated at the center. Okay, it is at the mid span center. Okay, at mid span. Remember, this is at your mid span. So moment at the center. Now the moment at the center from the pre-stressing force. Okay, because of this pre-stressing force, that is P into E. So this we know, M is equals to P into E. That is at this point. Let me just draw again. So this is your cable which is going. So at this point, right, at the center point, and this is your CGC, right? So this is your tendon, and then this is your eccentricity E. So the moment generated, at this point, moment generated at this point, not at this point. Okay. So moment generated at this point will be what? This pre-stressing force, right? P into your perpendicular distance E. So P into E. So what we can do, because of both of these are acting at the center, right? Both of these are acting at the same point. So we can equate both of these. Okay, equate both of these. So WL square, WUP L squared by 8 is equal to M by P. So this is equal to, not M by P, this is equal to P into E. So we have equated. Now this WEP is unknown over here, WUP is unknown, rest of the things are known. So this 8 will move over here, this W squared will move at the bottom. So equating both of this, so what we get? So WUP is equals to 8PE by L squared, right? 8PE by L squared. So this is for your parabolic type of cable. So right, when you have a parabolic type of cable, or whenever you have a UDL which is acting, so we can use this formula, that is 8PE by L squared, to calculate your upward thrust. Okay, to calculate your upward thrust, you can use this formula 8PE by L squared. So I hope you have understood how we have arrived at this 8PE by L squared. So this is your first case for your parabolic type of tendon. Okay, parabolic type of tendon at your mid span. Okay, so this formula is applicable only at a mid span. So is this clear how this has arrived? Right, how have we arrived at this? Is this clear, this derivation? So derivation is not important. So this formula you need to remember. Okay, I have just explained how you have arrived at this. So the derivation is not important with respect to your exam point of view. So is this clear? Is this WP clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So WP L squared you equate to P by E, and you can arrive at your this thrust WP, which is unknown. So this is not given in your numerical. All these things will be given. That is, pre-stressing force will be given, eccentricity will be given, span will be given. So using all these values, you can calculate your upward thrust. Okay. So the next thing. So next thing, after you calculate your WUP, okay, so this is your upward thrust which is acting, and then you have certain load, right? Superimposed load W which is acting, and then this is your WUP which is acting. So there is certain amount of unbalanced load, right? There is certain amount of unbalanced load. So how can we calculate that unbalanced force? So WUB, okay, unbalanced force we will represent as WUB, okay, unbalanced. So WUB. So this the superimposed load W minus your W upward thrust. Okay. So if you reduce, so this is acting load, and then this is your balancing load. So what is left out is your unbalanced load. Okay. So W minus WUP or you can represent WUP as WB. Okay, WUP is nothing but our balancing force, right? It is our balancing force, so you can write it as WB. Okay, instead of WUP, you can write it as WB. So W, that is your acting load, superimposed load, minus your balancing force. If you do, you get your unbalanced force. Okay, unbalanced load, that is WUB. So this will be required while solving your numerical. Okay, remember. So this formula you have to remember, 8P by L squared, and WUB is equals to W minus WB. Okay, so remember these two things. Okay, so now this is for your parabolic type of cable. Okay, parabolic type of cable. So moving on to singly halved tendon. Okay, singly, wherein only we have a single point load acting at the midspan. Okay, single point load acting at the midspan. So we have this WUP which is acting. Okay, WUP which is acting at the center to balance this W which is acting from the top. Right. So this is a bending moment diagram, and similarly we provide a tendon profile which is as similar to your bending moment diagram, but it is reverse. Okay, it is reversed, it is flipped. Okay, so now we need to calculate the value of this WUP. Okay, we need to calculate the value of this WUP. So similarly, what we know, so we know this bending moment which is acting over here is WL by 4, right? WL by 4. So WUP by L, your WUP L by 4, right? Say same thing we have substituted here. So instead of W, we have substituted WP. So that is equal to P into E, right? We know P into E, which is the moment generated due to your pre-stressing force, eccentric pre-stressing force. So we have equated both of these, and we have calculated WUP. WUP we have calculated. So L will come at the bottom, 4 will go at the top. So WUP is equals to 4 PE by L, 4 PE by L. So this is for our singly halved tendon. Okay, when we have a single concentrated load acting at the center of your span, right? We can use this formula to calculate your upward thrust. Okay, WUP or WB. Okay, WB. So what is the unbalanced load? Again, unbalanced load is W minus WB will give you your unbalanced load. Same thing, no change in this thing. So for parabolic tendon, it was 8 PE by L squared, and now for your concentrated load, it is 4 PE by L. 4 PE by L. So moving on to next concept. So it is for your doubly half tendon, wherein we have two concentrated loads equally distributed. Okay, equally distributed. Spacing between all of these are equal. So this is L divided by 3, L divided by 3, L divided by 3. Okay, L 1/3 of L. Okay, if this whole thing is span of your beam is L, so L by 3, L by 3, and L by 3. So this is your tendon profile, right? I have told you this is your tendon profile, and this is the upward thrust which is generated. So the bending moment over here, okay, bending moment over here will be what? It will be W into AL, W into AL. So AL is what? AL is this distance, okay? AL is this distance, which is nothing but L by 3, right? L by 3. Or if it is not L by 3, if it is any varying distance, you can calculate this distance which is there. If it is not equal, you can calculate this distance and you can multiply that by W, right? W into AL. So substituting the same thing, right? Instead of W, you can substitute WP, which is your upward thrust. So equating that to P, right? Equating that to P. So this AL will come at the denominator, and you will get the upward thrust formula, that is P into E by AL. P into E divided by AL, where AL is the distance, this distance. Okay, AL is this distance from your support. Okay, from your support. So again, unbalanced force. So this is our balancing force, right? WUP is equals to WB. So unbalanced force is equal to W minus WB. Okay, so this thing is same, no change in this. Only change is depending upon your load, your formula will change. Okay, depending upon your loading, your formula will go on changing. So usually we will deal with a curved cable or singly half tendon or a doubly half tendon. Okay, only these three cases are important. Okay, so this is the stress formula which we'll be using for calculation. P by A plus or minus my by A. So if you substitute Y, T, it will be at the top fiber. If you substitute YB, it will be at the bottom fiber. Okay, stress is at your top fiber and bottom fiber. And now this M over here, okay, what is M? M is equals to moment due to unbalanced load. Okay, moment due to unbalanced load. So unbalanced load is what? Unbalanced load is WUB. WUB. So what is WUB? WUB is your superimposed load W minus your balancing load, that is WB. Okay. We know all this. We have calculated WUB. So if it is a if it is a curved cable, okay, if it is a curved cable, what is the moment, unbalanced moment which is generated? It is WUB L squared by 8. Okay, when it is a curved cable. And what about a singly half tendon? It will be WUB, right, L by 4. So depending upon this thing, we will calculate the moment, and then that moment we will substitute here, and we will calculate the stresses at top fiber or at the bottom fiber. Okay, so I hope this concept is clear, right? So after this, we will be moving on to your numericals. So let me just summarize. So if you have a parabolic cable, like this, right? If you have a parabolic cable, so what is the upward thrust which is generated? WUP or WUB? WUB. It is your PE by L squared. 8 PE by L squared, right? 8 PE by L squared. And when we have a singly half tendon, okay, singly half tendon like this, okay, so WUB is equal to what? PL by 4, right? Or singly PE by L, sorry, it is PE by L, 4 PE by L. So when we have a double half tendon, wherein it is this kind of profile, so WB will be what? It will be depending upon your distance, right? W into, sorry, not W, it is yeah, W into A into L, right? PE by AL. It is P into E by A. So these things you need to remember. And then unbalanced force, WUB is equal to what? W minus W, okay, W minus WB, and then you can calculate your unbalanced moment. Depending upon your loading condition, you can calculate your unbalanced moment, and then you can substitute in your FT to calculate top fiber stresses, and then you can substitute in FB to calculate at bottom fiber. So this is the overview of your load balancing concept. Okay, load balancing concept. Okay, so this is for 3 cases which we have studied. Okay, depending upon the case, we will solve the numerical. So shall we move on to the numerical? So I think only 2 numericals are there. We will finish up with the two numericals, and then we will be finishing up with your load balancing concept.
Yes, sir.
Just let me share the screen. Okay, are you able to see the screen? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So load balancing concept, just to summarize. So WUB is what? WUB is unbalanced load, okay, in kilonewton per meter. So unbalanced force is what? It is W minus WB, right? So W is your applied or superimposed load, and this is your balancing load, which is your upward thrust. Okay. So this is important. Then moment, that is unbalanced moment, okay, WUB, that is kilonewton meter. So this is your unbalanced load at your center span, okay, at your center span, WUB L squared by 8, okay, at center. So we can go ahead with this formula, okay, we can solve numericals by this formula. Or what we can do is, we know MUB. What is MUB? So it is unbalanced moment, right? Unbalanced moment. So it is the moment which is generated by your superimposed load minus your moment generated by your balancing load. Okay, so you can use this formula. So M is that's nothing but your moment that is generated by your superimposed load, and then this is your balancing load, right? Balancing balancing moment. So which is W B L squared by 8. So I've substituted here. So this is what is I've written. So this is the moment which is generated by your dead load and live load, and this is the moment which is generated by your balancing load. Okay, so balancing load, it is WB L squared by 8. Okay, so what we will do is, instead of using this method, we will be using by solving your numericals by this method. Okay, so instead of calculating loads and then substituting in moment, what we will do, we will directly substitute that in moment. So your steps will be decreased. Okay, steps will be decreased. You can calculate it faster. Okay, so M minus MB. So what is MB? MB is your balancing load, balancing moment, that is equal to WB L squared by 8. Okay. So moving on to your first numerical. So it is a simply supported beam, PSA beam. Okay. So rectangular beam, and then parabolic cable, parabolic profile. You can see it is a parabolic profile with eccentricity 60 mm at midspan and 0 mm at the ends. Okay. So eccentricity at the midspan, you can observe here it is 60 mm and it is 0 at the supports. Okay. At the end span it is 0. So that is given in the statement. The pre-stressing force initially is 450 kilonewton, and then there is a loss of 15%. Okay, so initially the pre-stressing force was 450 kilonewton, and then there was a loss of 15% at the final stage. So can anyone just tell me what is the effective pre-stressing force? What is the effective pre-stressing force? Can anyone tell me? After the losses.
382.5 kilonewtons.
Okay. How have we calculated that?
0.85 into 450.
Right, 0.85. So because it is a 15% losses, so 100% is your total initially pre-stressing force which you had applied. So 100 minus 15%, that is 85% we are left out with. That is your effective pre-stressing force. So 0.85 into your initial pre-stressing force, that is 450 kilonewton. So you get your effective pre-stressing force, that is PE, effective pre-stressing force, P suffix E. Okay, so that is regarding your pre-stress. Then the next thing that is given is imposed load over the beam is 7.5 kilonewton per meter. Imposed load is nothing but your live load. Then span of the beam is 5.75 meter. Estimate the resultant stress at midspan. Okay, at midspan using load balancing concept. So we need to estimate the resultant stress. Okay, at midspan. So we have been given with two cases. So initial pre-stressing force plus dead load, right? And final pre-stressing force plus dead load plus live load. So in the first case, we will consider 450 kilonewton as P, and only dead load we will consider. And in the second case, what we will consider the final pre-stressing force, and we will consider dead load as well as live load. So this is your transfer stage, and this is your service stage or your working stage. Okay. So if they tell you to calculate the stresses at transfer stage, you need to consider initial pre-stressing force plus dead load. And if they tell you to calculate at working stage, you need to use final pre-stressing force along with dead load and live load. Okay. So remember this. So all these things are given, right? So eccentricity is given, BD is given, live load, and your span. So YT is equals to YB is equals to Y, that is 150 mm, right? Total is 300. So YT you can calculate. Similarly, is sectional modulus we can calculate, Z, right? So cross sectional area you can calculate. So this is very easy. You can calculate from the given values. Okay, so the superimposed load is 7.5 kilonewton per meter. So next thing, sulfate you can calculate cross sectional area into density of concrete, and live load is given WL 7.5 kilonewton per meter. So you'll calculate bending moment at midspan, W due to dead load, WD L squared by 8, because it is a UDL, so WD L squared by 8. and then due to live load, which is also UDL, so WL L squared by 8. So we have all those things we have substituted, and we have found out the moments. So now what is the balancing moment? Balancing moment is equals to P into E. Okay, balancing moment at your mid span is P into E. Remember this, balancing moment is equals to P into E. So we are considering initial pre-stressing force, and at mid span the effect as the eccentricity is 60 mm. Okay, 60 mm. So we have converted that to meters. Okay, we have converted 60 mm to meters, and then this is kilonewton. So multiply this to get your balancing moment, that is 27 kilonewton meter. Okay, so now moving to our first case. So we will calculate initial pre-stressing force plus dead load. So what is the unbalanced moment? MUB is equals to your moment due to your dead load, and then your balancing moment you have to reduce. So moment due to dead load we have calculated 7.74 right here, and then this is your balancing moment 27. So from 7.74 minus 27 you deduct, and then you get the unbalanced moment. Okay, so this is the amount of moment that is unbalanced in your beam. Unbalanced moment, that is minus 19.56. Okay, remember to use this negative sign. Do not forget this negative sign while substituting. Okay, so you have to substitute it along with your negative sign. So resultant stress at midspan, it is P by A plus MUB by Z. Okay, P by A plus MUB by Z. So P we know P, we know A. So MUB we have calculated, that we have substituted, Z we have calculated. So you get the stress at top fiber as plus 0.784 Newton per mm squared. Similarly at bottom fiber, so this is minus at bottom fiber. The rest all things are same. Okay, rest all the things are same, only sign will change over here. So you get plus 11.26 Newton per mm squared. So this is your top fiber, this is your bottom fiber. So you can draw the stress diagram. So P by A is what? Is a direct stress, right? So direct stress we have drawn plus 6 at top fiber, plus 6 at bottom fiber. So overall it is plus. So this is due to unbalanced moment. This is the stress due to unbalanced moment. So it is plus 5.216 at top fiber, and minus it is minus at the top fiber. It is minus, not plus. So because plus into minus, it will become minus, right? So minus 5.261 at top fiber, right? And this minus into minus will become plus, right? And so it is plus 5.261 at bottom fiber. Okay, so this is due to your unbalanced moment, and then this is your resultant stress diagram. Okay, so this is our case 1, wherein only we are dealing with initial pre-stressing force and dead load. Okay, so now we will deal with your second case in which we will consider final pre-stressing force along with your dead load and live load. So this is your balancing moment. First thing you have to calculate is your balancing moment MB. So it is P into E. Similarly, what we have done here, right? Where we have done over here, right? P into E. But here we have considered your initial pre-stressing force, right? So, but now we have to consider your effective pre-stressing force, that is PE, right? So where we have calculated here final pre-stressing force, that is 382.5. So we will use this and we will not use this. So that we will substitute here. Okay, 382.5 into eccentricity. So this is your moment, balancing moment. And what is our unbalanced moment? So it is the moment due to dead load plus moment due to live load minus your balancing force. So 7.44 is a dead load moment, 31 is your live load moment, and then this is your unbalancing moment. So your unbalanced moment is positive. In the previous case it was negative, here it is positive, plus 15.49 kilonewton meter. So similarly you can substitute this value in your formula for your top fiber stress and your bottom fiber stress, and you can calculate the resultant stress at top fiber and resultant stress at your bottom fiber. Okay, and you can draw your stress diagrams. So just a comparison here, you can observe at top fiber it was minus and at bottom fiber it was plus. But when we consider live load, so it will change. So it has changed. So at top fiber it is now positive, and at bottom fiber now it is negative. Okay, it is negative. So initially in a transfer stage it was opposite, but in a final stage it is positive and negative at your top fiber and bottom fiber respectively. So you can draw your stress diagrams, and with this your first numerical is over. Okay, so the main thing that you need to remember is balancing force MB. Okay, balancing force MB is equals to P into E. Okay, so this thing you need to remember, and then your unbalanced moment, this calculation you need to remember, that is your moment that is due to your dead load plus live load minus your balancing moment. So only this thing you need to remember, and rest all the things are just substitution. Okay, just substitution, and you can calculate. So this is regarding your first numerical, very easy, right? Rectangular section, parabolic type of cable, and initial pre-stressing, final pre-stressing have been given, and two cases, transfer stage and working stage. So you have calculated all the resultant stresses at midspan due to this transfer stage, and at working stage. So last numerical we will solve today, second numerical. So here you have a PSC concrete beam. Okay, here you have a PSC concrete beam of span 7.5 meters. Okay, span is 7. Sorry, so this is 7.5 meters. Okay, 7.5, not 7 meters. Beam supports two symmetric, two symmetric point loads, meaning the distance is a symmetric point load, meaning the load is similar. Okay, the load is similar and it is symmetrically placed. Okay, symmetrically placed. You can observe. So this beam, so this is symmetric over here, this part is symmetric, and it is symmetric over here. Okay, if we divide the beam in half, so it is symmetric at left side, and similarly it is the same thing at our right side. So it is symmetric. So it the 18 kilonewton load, it is placed at 2 meters from the support. Okay, from the support, the 18 kilonewton load is placed at 2 meters. Okay, so it is placed at 2 meters over here, and from here it is placed at 2 meters. So they have asked us to suggest a suitable cable profile for pre-stressing force of 150 kilonewton. So this pre-stressing force P over here, it is 150 kilonewton, and we know, right? We know that if we have this kind of loading, the cable profile will be in this format, right? In the cable profile will be this format which we have shown. Okay, so that thing is over. So next thing what we need to do is we need to calculate the resultant stress. The resultant stresses at your midspan. So one thing that they have told us, they have told us to ignore the self weight of the beam. Okay, we have to ignore the self weight of the beam. So this eccentricity is not been given. Okay, this eccentricity you can observe that they have not mentioned anywhere. Okay, so we need to calculate this eccentricity first and then proceed with the problem. So suggest a suitable cable profile, in the sense we need to calculate this eccentricity E over here, and then it is obviously 0 over here, right? So if you just calculate this eccentricity E, we can suitably provide this cable profile, right? So that is the problem statement, that we need to calculate this E or not the stresses. Okay, do not calculate the stresses. As I've told you, only if you calculate this eccentricity E, our problem will be over. So this is the free body diagram which I have drawn at the right side. You can observe. So this distance A. So how much is this distance A? It is 2 meters. Okay, it is 2 meters. So this is the 18 kilonewton load which is acting. It is a simply supported beam. So yeah, but because it is symmetric, right? Because it is symmetric, because the beam is symmetric, your reactions will be equal, right? RA is equals to RB, right? It will be equal to 18 kilonewton. You can try solving using moment. You can try solving using moment. You will get the same answer. Okay, because the beam is symmetric, you can directly write that reaction A, reaction B is equal to 18 kilonewton. Okay, it is equal to 18 kilonewton of force. Next thing, bending moment due to external load is equal to bending moment due to pre-stress, right? So the bending moment due to pre-stress, we know it is equal to P into E, and the bending moment due to external load is RA into A, right? So when we know that the bending moment that is generated M, right, to balance. What is it? When we have a double halved tendon, it is nothing but your W into your distance A, right? So W is what? 18, right? And the distance A is 2 meters. So 18 into 2 we have written over here. And then this is bending moment due to pre-stress. So pre-stress we know is 150 kilonewton. The only unknown thing is E over here. So you can solve and you can find out the eccentricity E is 240 mm at the midspan, okay, at the midspan. So from here, starting from here up to here, the eccentricity is 240 meters, and then it is going straight, and it is 0 at your supports. Yeah, 0 at your supports. So we have suitably suggested them a cable profile, okay, along with their eccentricities. So this is your second numerical, very short numerical. This is only half a page of solution, okay. So is this clear? Is this solution clear? Very easy, wherein we need to calculate only eccentricity. So now if you want, you can go ahead and solve for stresses, okay, even though they are not asked. So you can try and solve for stresses, right? Stresses at top fiber, stresses at bottom fiber at your midspan. As a homework, you can try, you can solve. If you have any doubts, you can let me know. Okay. So can you move on to your next numerical? Can you move to your next numerical? Third. Just let me know if your second is clear. Or else, if you need a break of 5 minutes, you can let me know. Yes, I think there are 7 of you are here. Just let me know whether I can continue or whether you need a break. Okay.
Continue, sir.
Continue. Okay. So we'll finish up with this and we will wind up today's session. Okay. So you can observe here we have a overhang beam. Okay. We have a beam which is overhang on one side. Okay. On one side we have an overhang. And observe. So let me just read the problem statement. So we have a PSC beam. Okay. We have a PSC beam with single overhang. As I've shown you, we have a single overhang which is starting from B going up to C. Okay. And the overhang distance is how much? It is 2 meters. The distance is 2 meters. Okay. And the span of the beam between A and B is 8 meters. Span between A and B is 8 meters. Overhang B is 2 meters. The beam is a cross section. It is a rectangular section of 300 mm by 300 mm by 900 mm. Okay, it is a rectangular cross section. It supports a UDL of 3.52 kilonewton per meter. Okay, throughout it supports. What we need to do, we need to determine the profile of the cable, okay, to balance the dead load and live load. What we need to do, we need to determine the profile of the cable. That is, we need to determine the eccentricities and we need to suitably provide a cable. Okay, so we need, what we can do, we can determine the bending moment diagram, right? If we determine the bending moment diagram, we will have an idea of how to provide the cable profile, right? We will have an idea of how to provide the cable profile, right? It will be similar to your bending moment diagram. So once we, the first thing that we need to do, we need to determine the bending moment diagram, and then we need to find the eccentricities, right? Eccentricities at your, if this obviously it will be 0 over here, eccentricity will be 0 over here, and then there we need to calculate eccentricity of a cable at this point. Okay, and then if required at your any other point, like your point of contraflexure, if that is there, we need to find eccentricity at that point, and the eccentricity at this point. Okay, eccentricity at this point, and if any special points are there, we will calculate eccentricities at those points. Okay, so that is just an overview of what I've given. So let us move on to your solution. So this is given, right, 3.52, which is your live load. Then this is your span, right, 8 plus 2 meters. And then this is the cross section of your beam, cross sectional area of your beam. And then this is your moment of inertia, that is BDQ by 12. Next thing that you need to calculate is the dead load of your beam, 0.3 into 0.9 into 24, right, 6.84 kilonewton per meter. Then live load which is given 3.52. Add both of these, you will get the total load that is 10 kilonewton per meter, right? 10 kilonewton per meter. So you can observe here, there is no mention of your pre-stressing force. There is no mention of a pre-stressing force P. So without that, we cannot solve this numerical. So because it is not given, it is usually given. So because it is not given, we will assume a pre-stressing force of 250 kilonewton. Okay, it is usually given. Because it is not given here, we will assume a pre-stressing force of 250 kilonewton. Okay. So this is your this is your free body diagram. Okay, this is just a free body diagram which I have drawn here. And then this load is nothing but a total load which is applied over here. Total load 10 kilonewton per meter. So we need to calculate a reaction RA. We need to calculate reaction RB, right? After we calculate that, we can draw your bending moment diagram, right? So first thing that we need to determine is your support reactions. So summation of your vertical forces, that we will do here. So plus RA plus RB is equal to 10, right? Is equal to 10 into your total span, that is 8 plus 2. Total span is how much? 8 plus 2. Total span is 10 meters. So 10 intensity into your distance that we have done here, right? Equal to 100 kilonewton. So RA plus RB is equals to 100 kilonewton. So next what we will do, we will try to calculate the moment, or we will do the summation of moment at B. Okay, we will do the summation of moment at this point at B and equate it to 0. So starting from your left side, so RA will go clockwise, right? RA will go clockwise. So what is the distance between RA and point B? It is 8 meters, right? From RA to B, it is 8 meters. So RA into 8, then this 10 kilonewton, right? 10 kilonewton UDL, which is going anti-clockwise, right? It is going anti-clockwise. And the distance between this, how much is the distance between this? It is 8 by 2, that is 4 meters, right? 8 by 2, which is 4 meters, which I have written over here, 4. And what is the intensity? What is the intensity? It is 10 kilonewton into this 8 meters, right? It is from here to here. So 10 into 8, this is your intensity, and then this is the perpendicular distance, that is 4 meters. Okay. So now moving on to your right side, of your point B. So this is your UDL, which is going clockwise, right? UDL on the right side will go clockwise, right? It will go like this, it will go clockwise. So it is positive. And then what is this distance? This distance is 1 meter, right? 2 divided by 2. So that is written over here. And the intensity is what? It is 10 into 2 meters, 10 into 2 meters. So this is the intensity into perpendicular distance 1, equating it to 0. So all of these things, if you simplify, you will get RA is equals to 37.5 kilonewton. RA we have determined, and substituting this in your for first formula, that is RA plus RB is equals to 100 kilonewton. So you will get RB value, which is equal to 62.5 kilonewton. So now we have calculated RA, we have calculated RB, right? So now we can calculate the moments, right? We can calculate moments at various sections. So before we move on to bending moment, we will calculate shear force, so that we can have an idea whether we have a point of contraflexure, and if we have a point of contraflexure, what is the distance of this point of contraflexure. So what do you mean by point of contraflexure? It is the point wherein your shear force changes your sign. So we can see it is plus, it is changing to minus at this point, right? So this is the point of contraflexure. And what is the importance of point of contraflexure? Can anyone tell me what is the importance of point of contraflexure with respect to bending moment? Importance of point of contraflexure. You have any idea?
Bending moment is maximum, sir.
Yes, 100% correct. So when we have point of contraflexure at that particular point, right? At that particular point, you have maximum bending moment. Okay, you have maximum bending moment. So what we will do is first we will calculate shear force and then we will move on to bending moments. Okay, so this is your free body diagram of your beam, right? We have calculated reactions, right? So that I have mentioned over here. So starting from this point, starting from A point, so this is 37.5 and it is going upwards, right? It is going upwards. It is reaction which is going upwards. So I will go 37.5 units upwards. Okay, so this line I have drawn 37.5. Then we have this UDL. Okay, we have this UDL which is 8 meter. Okay, span is 8 meter. Intensity is 10 kilonewton meter. Okay, so because this is going downwards, right? UDL is acting downwards. So our shear force diagram will start going. It will start going. It will start to go downwards, right? And by how much it will go down? How much intensity it will go down? It will go down by 10 into 8, which is this UDL intensity into your span, 8 meters. So 37.5, which is this point, minus 10 into 8, you get minus 42.5.
Excuse me, sir.
So, yes,
Sir, that point of contraflexure, sir.
yes,
In that point, bending moment is 0, sir, not shear force, sir.
yes, yes. Bending moment is shear force is 0 and not a bending moment.
No, sir, bending moment is 0, sir. Shear force is not 0, sir.
At point of contraflexure, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. I'll just look into whether that is
This
true
point
or
has
not.
no special term, sir.
Okay, you mean this point is point of contraflexure, right? This point is PC and
Yes, sir.
not this.
Yes, sir.
And not this. Okay, because this is unnamed. This is not point of contraflexure. You mean?
Yes, sir.
So this is not point of conflexure. So this is some point wherein that shear force is changing its sign. Okay. So that point we need to consider, and that point, your bending moment will be maximum. Okay. So that point we will calculate. So moving on to shear force calculation, we will look into shear force. So what I've told you, so it will move down by an intensity of this UDL. Okay, intensity of this UDL. So minus 42.5. So from this point, minus 42.5 I'll mark, and then I will join these two. Okay. So at this point, you have this reaction which is positive, right? Positive plus 62.5. So minus 42.5 plus 62.5, it is plus 20, right? So plus 20, I'll draw over here, plus 20. And then again, you have this UDL, which is 10 kilonewton per meter. So plus 20 minus 2 into 10 into 2. Okay, it is 10 into 2, not 20. So it will be equal to 0, right? Because the shear force will be 0 at your supports. At your support, at your this thing, right? At your reaction. Sorry, not at your supports, at your overhang, right? At your overhang, it will be 0. Here it will be 0, not here. Because shear force will be maximum at your supports, and at this overhang point, your shear force will be 0. So your shear force diagram is like this. RA is going up, then because of this UDL it is coming down, and then because of this RB it is again going up, and then it is 0 at your overhang part, okay, at your end part. So this is your shear force diagram. We have calculated all the required points, all the required. So this is plus 20, this is plus 37.75, this is 42.5. So now we need to calculate this point wherein your shear force changes your sign. Okay, so this point we need to calculate. So this is plus and this is minus. So it is changing the direction, or you're changing your sign at this point. So this distance, what we will do, we'll mark it as x. Okay, from your left hand side, we'll mark it as x. We know that this total distance is 8 meters, right? Distance 8 meters. So 8 minus x will be this distance. 8 minus x will be this distance. So you can apply a similar triangles rule, right? Similar triangles. So that we will apply over here. So this is not point of contraflexure. So 37.5, okay, 37.5 divided by x, okay, is equal to what? 42.5 divided by 8 minus x. A similar triangle rule we have applied. So that is what we have written over here. And you can solve for x, okay, solve for x, and you will get the distance x, that is 33.75 meters. So this distance is 3.75. So your bending moment maximum will be where? At a distance of 3.75 from your left hand side. Okay, so that is where your maximum bending moment will occur. So shear force calculation is over. Your change of sign of your shear force diagram is we have calculated that distance so that we can calculate bending moment maximum. Okay, so all of this is over. So next thing that we need to do is we need to calculate all the bending moments. So as we know, because it is a simply supported beam, right? So bending moment at your supports will be 0, right? It will be 0 at A point, right? It will be 0 at A and it will be 0 at C. So that is what we have written here. Bending moment is 0 at A and bending moment is 0 at C. It may not be 0 at B, right? Because of this overhang portion, because of this overhang, the bending moment may not be 0 at B. We will try to calculate. If it is 0, it is fine. If it is not 0, it is also fine. Right. So if it was not overhanging, then it would definitely have been 0 at this B. So because of this overhang portion, this moment at B will not be 0. Okay. So moment at B we will calculate. So moment at B 37.5 into 8, that is your reaction R into your distance from your B. So this is RA. So this distance is 8. So 37.5, which is going clockwise, into your perpendicular distance, which is 8. And then you have a UDL of 10, right? So UDL of 10, which is going anti-clockwise, right, with respect to point B. Then 10 into span of 8 and the distance perpendicular, which is 4. Which is equal to what? Which is equal to this side, which is equal to this side. That is this moment which is going clockwise, right? So right hand side we consider as upward, we consider as clockwise you consider as a negative, right? Clockwise you consider as negative on right hand side. So it is negative 10 into distance, that is 2, right? And that is half of the perpendicular distance, which is 1, right? Similarly, what we have done over here for calculation of your reaction, the same thing I have written over here. So you'll get your bending moment at sorry, it is not that, it is moment at M. What is moment at MB? That is minus 20. Okay, moment at MB is equal to minus 20. So moment at M is 0, moment at C is 0, moment at B is minus 20. Okay, so we have an idea of our bending moment. We have an idea. So we can write 0 over here. We can write 0 over here, and this is your B point, which is minus 20. So we know because of a UDL, so our profile will be what? It will be parabolic. Okay, it will be parabolic. So it will go like this up to minus 20, and then again it will become a 0 at your point C. So this is your bending moment. So but we do not know this maximum where it will occur. Okay, maximum where it will occur, and what is the intensity of this bending moment. So from shear force we can calculate this distance. Okay, from shear force, and we have calculated this distance. So it is 3.75 meters from your left hand side, and then this intensity we can calculate by using this distance. Okay, using this distance, moment at this point we can calculate. So the maximum bending moment will occur at this point. Okay, not at point of contraflexure. It will occur at this point wherein your shear force changes its sign. Okay, 3.75 meters from A. So that is this mention. I have mentioned it over here. So maximum bending moment is equals to, so you have a reaction over here, right? 37.5 into this distance 3.75. So it is going clockwise. So it is plus, and UDL you have over here, UDL, that is 10 into 3.75 into 3.75 by 2. So you get your bending moment, which is 70.31 kilonewton meter. Okay, so that is what I have written over here. So now we have all the things which is required for your bending moment. We have calculated all the things for your bending moment, and also we have drawn this bending moment diagram. Okay, so next thing what we need to do after bending moment calculation is we need to calculate all the eccentricities. Okay, we need to calculate all the eccentricities. So we know the balancing moment is P into E. Okay, balancing moment, you remember, MB is equals to P into E. So what is E equal to? E is equal to M by P. Okay, M by P. This P will go over here. It will go at the denominator, and we know all the bending moments. simply we can substitute all those things. So eccentricity at A will be 0, obviously it will be 0, you can observe here it is 0, and eccentricity at C is 0, right? We need to calculate what is the eccentricity at B. So eccentricity at B is what? Eccentricity, so moment at B, we know it is minus 20, right? So minus 20, and our pre-stressing force we have assumed as 250 kilonewton. So eccentricity is minus 80 mm. Okay, eccentricity is minus 80. So whenever it is minus, it will be at this side. Okay, eccentricity is negative, you have to represent it on this side of the line. Okay, so minus 80 you mark over here, over here. So this is minus 80, and then we need eccentricity at your maximum point, right? Eccentricity we need to calculate at this point. So moment at that point is 70.31 divided by your pre-stressing force. You get at your maximum point your eccentricity as plus 281.24, plus 281.24. So when it is plus, it will be at this side of your line. Okay, so this distance is what? This distance is 281.24. So we have suitably now designed our parabolic cable. So it is in this fashion. Okay, so 0 at the supports, eccentricity is 0 at A, and at C, not at 0, not 0 at B. So at B, eccentricity is 80 mm, and at maximum bending moment, eccentricity that we need to provide is 281.24. So it is parabolic. Okay, it is parabolic, not straight. Okay, because we are dealing with a UDL. Okay, because the superimposed load is UDL, because of that your tendon is parabolic. Okay, so we have suitably designed a parabolic cable. Along with that, we have provided required eccentricities. Okay, so this is regarding your third numerical. Okay, third numerical. I think we have one more, so we will cover that in your next class. I think we have one more. Okay, one more, 5. Okay, so 2 more, and with that we will be finishing up with your load balancing concept. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you are free to ask. Let me know if you have not understood any of the concepts. Right, first thing what you need to do, you need to calculate reactions. After you calculate reactions, you need to calculate shear force. After you calculate shear force, you calculate all the bending moments. After you calculate bending moments, you calculate eccentricities. Okay, eccentricities, and then you just draw the profile, cable profile you draw. That is it. Okay, this is your result, final result. Okay, so basic things what you have learned in your previous semesters, right? Calculating of your reactions, calculating of shear forces, calculating of bending moments. Only thing that you are doing here is calculating eccentricity using this formula. Okay, only thing that you are learning new or doing new is here, that is calculating your eccentricity. So remember, MB is equals to P into E. Only thing that you need to remember is balancing moment, MB is equals to P into E, and you can calculate eccentricities at your required points. And remember, eccentricity is positive. Okay, eccentricity is positive when you go below this CGC, and eccentricity is negative if it is above your CGC. Okay, remember these two sign conventions, very important. Okay, very important, because you can observe here we have minus 80 mm. So you will be confused. How can you draw this minus 80 mm? Where to draw this minus 80 mm? So a minus 80 mm in the sense it will be 80 mm above your CGC. Okay, and plus 281 meaning it is below your CGC. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So I think this is enough for today's class. In the next class we will solve your 2 more numericals we will solve, and then after that we will start with your force concept. Okay, force concept we are left out with, sorry, not force concept, your pressure line. Okay, that is not regarding any of these concepts. So 3 concepts we have covered. So new concept is your pressure line concept. Okay, pressure line, which is a very small concept, only 1 to 2 problems we will solve in that. So that if we solve that, so your first module will be over with that. Okay, so I think I need 2 to 3 hours more to finish our first module. Okay, so with that I think we can finish your session over here. So you can start typing in your attendance, and simultaneously if you have any doubts, you are free to ask. Start typing in your attendance. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, So do not leave the session. Just wait. Few instructions after you type in your attendance. I have few instructions to give you. Everyone has given their attendance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6. One more. Someone has missed.